don't know where this came from, but Sean Krukowski said, worst case scenario, Barry runs the board, squeaks into the playoffs, and wins the league. Oh my God, the Braggler is born.
Yeah.
I don't even know where this came from, but
I don't either.
I'll put an end to this week.
Yes.
It's okay.
are you
I'll put my foot
paying
down.
bots?
I should. Maybe. I'm not, but I'd like to.
That's
Yeah. So
something to think
if you'd
about.
like to apply for a bot position to be part of the Barry Army online.
Leather bots.
Yeah. Yeah, some leather bots.
Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry.
Yes, the Leatherbots drink for free today at the happy hour. It's Matthew Berry alongside Lawrence Jackson and Jay Croucher. But as is typical, Jay, producer Steven has screwed up. He's made a mistake. Because Leatherbots, fine, that was funny. It's a nice quip by you,
Sure.
if you will.
Yes,
But-
I for one welcome our new Leatherbot overlords.
Yeah, of course. We all work for the Leatherbots, obviously. We're just little worker bees trying to please the Leatherbot overlords. But in terms of who should drink free, it's obviously Lawrence's neck, which is now free. Look at Lawrence's neck.
Nessie, Leatherbots Army, rise up.
The neck.
The neck.
Now
It's a beautiful
look,
neck.
baby.
Come on, Lawrence's neck absolutely should have drank free. It's nice to see. This is going to
beautiful
sound,
neck.
and I don't know if this is, it's a lovely neck,
you, Jay.
Lawrence.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
fellas. I appreciate
I don't
the
know
neck
if,
love.
I don't know if, you're going to be in Philadelphia with us. We'll see what happens. Night's early.
No, we
we're
see
going
what
to
happens.
we're going to Philadelphia, not this weekend, but next weekend for Lions Eagles, which will be on Sunday Night Football, which is great. Yeah, look at Tone Dog 70. Nice
Tone
neck.
Dog, hey, that's love, Tone. I
Right,
appreciate
exactly.
that.
You got ankles, you got neck. Jay
Well, yeah.
Jay's not bringing anything to the table.
Yeah, I done brought the neck, the calves. What have you done? You're covering the neck.
Yeah, I'm covering the neck. I have good calf muscles. We'll get them out at some point on the show. But yeah, neck to go head to head, no pun with your ankles. A lot of body parts on this show. Also, another drink-free
neck
candidate. It's Connor Rogers' birthday today. Another guy who could have.
Oh, we could have done that, too.
he could have drunk
Happy
free.
birthday, dog.
Stephen didn't even pitch the idea of
It's
Connor drinking free.
outrageous. Happy birthday, Connor Rogers. Finally eligible to drink.
Yes,
That's good.
exactly.
Finally legal.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Well done, Connor.
All right, it's Love Hate Day. We're going to talk about running backs on the Love Hate list. We're also going to talk about Raiders Broncos coming up, which is a game of football that's on tonight. But let's get straight into it. Love Hate list. It's headlined by a man who may not play this week. We will see. But if he does play, Matthew, James Cook has a very enviable matchup against the Dolphins' run defense.
So can we, instead of saying James Cook, can I just say Bills starting running back? Because, as of this taping, we don't know. James Cook didn't practice yesterday. We'll see what the status is today. He did get banged up. It went under the radar, but he got banged up a little bit at the end of his last game last week. But I'll just tell you, whether it is James Cooks or Ray Davis, who I'd expect to get the majority of work for Buffalo if James Cook can't go, has a great matchup against the Dolphins, right? Miami have given up at least 16 fantasy points to a running back, 6 of their last 8 games. Running backs have seen at least 14 carries against Miami. They're averaging 113 rushing yards a game. They're averaging 5.8 yards per carry. So you see it here on your screen. The Bills have the highest implied team total of any team on the Week 10 slate. So as a 9.5-point favorite against the Dolphins, obviously I have James Cook as a top 6 play, but if I knew for a fact James Cook were out and it was going to be the Ray Davis show on Sunday, I think he would easily be a top 15 play this week.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We've seen Ray Davis do it when James Cook has been out. And some people may say, well, what about Ty Johnson? Well, Ty Johnson, his role is kind of solidified no matter what. He's always going to kind of stay in that running back 2, running back 3 role, pass catcher running back. But Ray Davis, definitely the guy you want if James Cook does not play.
Yes. Yeah. As we're recording, we don't know what James Cook's status is for Thursday's practice. Oh, Connor Rogers, chime in. Thanks, lads. Specifically, Jay, since producer Stephen.
Yeah, that's
What up, Connor Rogers?
Happy birthday, Connor. Go up. Throw away your fake, Connor. Throw away your fake ID. Go into a bar and order a drink legally for the first time in your life.
Yeah, I was in a group chat. Backup producer Pete said in the group chat, which Connor is a part of, happy birthday to my favorite Jets analyst. To which I immediately assumed that Bart Scott, it was his birthday. But no, apparently it is Connor Rogers' birthday. So happy birthday to you, Connor.
I just like that there's yet another text thread that I'm not a part of. So it's great. So it's you, Connor.
There's many.
Who else is on this text thread? It's you, Connor, Pete. Who else? Is it?
George Savaricas.
Okay.
Yeah, Lawrence Jackson's not on it, though. We'll get you on it later today.
No. I'm good. We got enough. We got about 7.
To be fair, Matthew, there are a lot of group threads.
Yes.
There's a lot. I was trying to hunt down the NBA fantasy league group thread the other night.
Yes.
Where do I even start?
I'm doing the same thing because we got 2 league of assholes, one for football, one for basketball.
NBA. It's out and the link for the show always gets sent in a group chat, and then I have to go through all of our 8 billion different group chats to find the link so I can promote the show. Yeah.
Raise the flags. Connor is worried that Jay is going to win the McConkey for best FFHH host. You have to log in to make sure it's going off the rails.
Fair point.
Some merit to
good
that.
call, raise the flag. Yeah, on the group chat, I had a 5 out of 10 Josh Giddey joke that I wanted to make into the group chat, and I couldn't find the group, so it got left on the cutting room floor, and now I can't remember what it was. So it's your loss, universe, on that one. Anyway, James Cook, if we find out that he's not practicing during the show, we'll react to that. But at the same time, I don't really think there's an action. Like either James Cook goes and you start him as normal, or Ray Davis is the replacement and you start Ray Davis in every league.
The action is, and we mentioned this briefly on yesterday's show, the action is to grab Ray Davis. Yep. That's the action, is just to make sure, whether it's this week or in the future, that you have the Buffalo Bills starting running back.
Yep. The top 2 running backs in the NFL this season have been James Cook and Jonathan Taylor, who is coming off his worst game of the season. Really his first bad game of the season, where he goes 14 for 45 against the Steelers. But now he gets a very favorable matchup where he will get to show the fine nation of Germany his skills against the Atlanta run defense and not particularly imposing Atlanta defensive line. I suspect that the Colts, after kind of having to lean into Daniel Jones last week through the air, perhaps not by choice, I suspect they're going to lean the hell into Jonathan Taylor this week. They got a bye coming up next week. This strikes me as one of those vintage Jonathan Taylor, 23 carries, 156 rushing yards, and a touchdown or 2 against the Falcons. So JT, not that anyone's concerned about JT, but suspect we're going to see the Jonathan Taylor of old this week in Berlin. Let's jump to Rico Dowdle, Matthew, who gets favorable matchup against New Orleans. It's not often the Panthers, despite being 5-4, have positive game script, but as 6-point favorites, they should against New Orleans.
They should, and we talked about this on Fantasy Football pregame last Sunday. We talked about it all last week, that we bought into the idea that last week Dave Canales was sort of like hard to ignore what Rico Dowdle is doing, and we need to get him more touches. And so we bought into that narrative. We said we believe Dave Canales. We talked about it on pregame. That's the Panthers running back you want. And sure enough, of the 32 Carolina Panthers running back touches that happened last week, Rico Dowdle got 27 of them. He played 74% of the snaps. You see it right there on your screen. 25-5. That's the rush attempt difference between Dowdle and Chubler Jr. And obviously very effective. 130 rushing yards to the 17 for Chuba Hubbard. So the point is we expect this to continue. We expect Rico Dowdle to get basically 75% of the touches, if not more, against the Saints. And so the reason we're talking about workload specifically against the Saints is that all the running backs that have seen at least 15 touches against New Orleans this year are averaging 17.3 fantasy points per game. You get 15 touches against the Saints, you average 17 fantasy points per game. Therefore, ergo, ipso facto, Rico Dowdle needs to be in your lineup. He's my running back 8 this week. Uncle Rico, welcome back to fantasy superstardom. Not that it ever left, but you know.
Yeah, I always think it's funny if like Chuba Hubbard just happened to tune into the show and he's like, "What the hell, Chubler Jr.?"
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
He's like, he's minding his own business.
Yeah, very peculiar. Aaron Cashman, Uncle Rico, or Kyron rest of the season. Lawrence, who you taking?
Oh yeah, I gotta still stick with Kyron Williams.
I agree.
Gotta still stick with him.
Yeah, the Panthers
Better
aren't going
offense.
to keep winning games and be in position.
That's
to,
the challenge.
But they probably will win this
But
week.
Matthew Stafford might keep throwing 1-yard touchdown passes, which is definitely affecting Kyron Williams right now.
There's no question about it. So I mean, it's a legit question, Aaron, and
sure,
I think I just rather the game environment of Kyron Williams, and I think that's going to, fall back to the median and Kyron will still get used, but you feel like they're going to be in scoring position more often, that you feel better about that offense than you do Carolina's. So
because make no mistake, when the Panthers beat the Green Bay Packers, that offense was carried by Rico Dowdle. Bryce Young had 102 passing yards. So if a team, sells out for that and beat Rico, you could do that. You can't do that with the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, it does seem like at some point defensive coordinators are going to be like, you know what, we'll let Bryce Young beat us. We're going to load the box against Rico Dowdle.
It's very troubling to me. There's a chance the Panthers could make the playoffs, and a team like the Lions or the Packers or the Niners could miss the playoffs at the expense of the Panthers.
That's what's going to happen. That's the issue with divisions.
Yeah. They're going to get rid of divisions.
I would say the Panthers are
I don't
playing.
think the only thing I don't think they're going to win the division. That's the thing. I think it's going to be the Buccaneers. I mean,
I hope so. Yeah,
They're playing good complementary football.
Oh, there you go. Look at
they're playing football. They're playing football.
I mean,
Baker Mayfield, you need to rise up and stop this catastrophe from happening. We need the Bucs to win the division.
6-4 here.
Okay, well, a team that is in the playoff hunt with the Carolina Panthers, Lawrence, that's the Minnesota Vikings. And you have Aaron Jones on the love list against the Ravens defense that has been a little bit better, but still not super imposing.
Yeah, if you saw the Ravens last week against the Dolphins, at some point they started dominating them, but regardless, Devon Achane was able to run against them. He was able to catch passes out the backfield, had 6 receptions against them. So no matter what, Devon Achane was able to get his. And if that's the same way, I expect it to be Aaron Jones rather than Jordan Mason getting that type of work. The Ravens have allowed the 10th most receptions to running backs and allowed the 5th most fantasy points per game to running backs. So regardless of the game script here for Aaron Jones, we've seen that since he's come back, he's been the most productive Vikings running back. So and he didn't practice this week either. He didn't practice yesterday. So just something to monitor, but he should be good to go.
It was encouraging, one, that they were able to run the ball efficiently against the Lions, who have a really good rush defense.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the Vikings had that ceiling in them. Offensive line is healthy for the first time in what feels like forever. And also, J.J. McCarthy completed 14 passes last game. They're going to want to lean on the run against Lamar Jackson's team if they can. Let's get to others receiving votes. Another team, Matthew, likely to lean on the run, the Cleveland Browns. Quinshon Judkins gets to play New York Jets defense that doesn't have Quinn and Williams in the middle of that defensive line anymore.
Right, and even with Williams, they gave him a ton. Since week 2, the Jets allowed the 4th most rushing yards per game to running backs, and to your point, Quinn and Williams no longer there. I'm hoping I'm dead wrong on Quinshon Judkins because he is a chubby leather daddy.
Yes.
But I think I'm going to be right.
Chubbed up Quinshon.
He is going to, chub all over me. Listen, David Montgomery is playing my Commanders. That's with fantasy points.
Oh, it's a fantasy term? Chub all over me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we say that.
Because he's a chubby leather daddy.
Yeah.
He's on your team.
Yeah, PPR.
Please, there's nothing wrong with that statement. Dave Montgomery is also receiving votes here over the last 4 weeks. Commanders, bottom 10 in terms of most fantasy points allowed to opposing running backs. Lions are almost a double-digit favorite here. You figure Montgomery gets into the end zone. And how about Monangai? Now, again, we don't know DeAndre Swift's status as of this taping. But I think that even if DeAndre Swift is back this week, Monangai against the Giants should have a decent workload. I think he's earned a bigger workload here. I think he's a viable flex. I'm at running back 24. Giants allow a touchdown at the 5th highest rate among running backs, rushing touchdowns. They're giving up 5.9 yards per carry to opposing running backs as well. So, yes, my guy, Kyle Monangai, is on the love list this week, running back 24 for me.
He was getting love, too, when Swift was in the game, too. Swift's last 3 games when he was a top 10 running back.
Daniel Sullivan needs to pick one in full PPR, Kyle Monangai, Alec Pierce, or Trey Tucker. I'm playing against Swift. I think the answer is clearly Monangai if Swift can't go.
Yes.
Otherwise, I think it's Alec Pierce.
You love Alec Pierce.
Do like
Find
Alec
somebody
Pierce.
that
I love him.
You do. You
my best friend.
You love him. A thought exercise would be if you were in a boat that was sinking. And you only had 3 life rafts. And it was Ella, Rio, Remy, and Alec Pierce. Who doesn't get the life raft? Who doesn't get the life jacket?
Well, the thing is that in that kind of situation, you defer who runs the most sophisticated route tree. It's clearly Alec Pierce this year. He's added that to his game.
Him out of those?
Alec Pierce, he gets the life raft.
Ella's more of a slot receiver, honestly.
She's a slot merchant.
Yeah, exactly.
She's the Wan'Dale Robinson type operator.
I would say Monangai. Here's what I would say. I think Monangai has the best chance of scoring a touchdown of your 3 options there, and I think he's probably the best floor guy because there's a scenario where Jonathan Taylor goes nuts and it's a Pittman-Tyler Warren game, but in terms of upside, Alec Pierce has it. So it sort of depends on what you need there, is if you need like just floor or you want to just swing for the fences.
Yep. Okay, well.
Because Pierce can always catch an 80-yarder. You know what I mean?
Let's jump to the hate list. Talking about the guy who doesn't have much upside at the moment, Matthew. That's Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
Who's just fallen off a cliff, unfortunately.
Dude.
And previously, when he's had rough stretches running the ball, he's been able to compensate through his PPR Ponzi scheme, but that has been shut down.
It has.
And now there's not much left.
Fantasy points per game. Like, he wasn't great weeks 1 through 4, but he's been much worse since week 5, averaging just 7 fantasy points per game, 20 receiving yards per game, to your point about the fact that he's not getting kind of those cheap touches that we expected last year, or that we got it. So over the past 5 weeks, he's running back 41 on a points per game basis. Like, he's not even a top 40 wide receiver, running back, I should say. He's got only 1 game with double-digit fantasy points here, and so, on the road at Carolina, which is a sneaky defense. They're not amazing, but they're not a horrific either. They've
been a good run defense outside of the James Cook 200-yard game against Buffalo. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm at running back 28 just because we have so many guys banged up and on bye. But if there was a Wednesday, I would say I'm closing it out on Alvin Kamara. He makes the hate list. I would lower expectations, even that are already even lower, but I would lower them even more for Alvin Kamara this week.
Yep. I'd also lower expectations for Breece Hall, even though you're probably still going to have to start him. But going up against Cleveland, the Jets, 2.5-point underdogs in that one, which is the Browns' 2.5-point favorite on the road doesn't speak well to the Jets. That line moved like 3.5 points after the Jets traded Quinshon Williams and Sauce Gardner. But
I was going to say, did it move on just both guys or on
both
between?
Guys? Yeah. I mean, it's not a huge move because you're staying under 3 in both directions, and there's not that many games that finish at a 1 or 2 point margin. But still. It's material. I mean, they're the 2 best players on the team.
Yeah, the Browns
have
a better
lost his 2 best player.
Right, and the Browns are already the better defense, so now the bad defense lost the 2. What you just said.
It's tough. The Jets.
Jalen Gabriel's going to be awesome. Keep Shadur Sanders on the bench for another week or 2.
Hey, we talked about loading the box earlier. That's literally what I would do versus the Cleveland Browns.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and as far as Breece goes, I think he's going to have to rely on dump-off passes to get to fantasy value here. The Browns have the 2nd most efficient rush defense in the NFL after only Seattle, so a very tough matchup. Browns as well, rested off of a bye, and Myles Garrett looking very hungry. Johnny Dangerly trade proposal, Cortland Sutton for Breece Hall. Thoughts? #FFHH. Lawrence?
I would take Breece Hall.
I like Breece Hall.
I think Breece Hall has a higher floor, so I don't mind it. I mean, it's just the only question is just whether you feel confident that Justin Fields is competent enough to keep this offense up. But I will say he's the pass-catching running back on a defense that's been bad and just got worse. And so with Sutton, I agree with this. I agree with them, Johnny. I would take Breece Hall. I prefer Breece Hall to Cortland Sutton rest of the way. Also, just Sutton's been weirdly inconsistent. Now, I think he's going to have a good game tonight. By the way, we'll get to that game in a second. But
he played Houston last week.
Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin, and I know Mims is hurt now, but they've just obviously a lot of mouths to feed. He's still the alpha. I still like him. I think he's still like a borderline top 20 wide receiver. Hope he has a huge game tonight because I'm starting him against Jay. But I think Breece Hall just has a higher floor and higher ceiling.
Yep, agreed. I like the note on this one on the rundown, Lawrence. Bam Knight, who's on the hate list against Seattle, the note is still hasn't shown he's any good.
Hey, I didn't say that, but maybe I was paraphrased. But for real though, the thing that works for Bam Knight is he is the starting running back for the Arizona Cardinals, which offense look a lot better right now, to be honest, with old Jacoby back there at quarterback. But as far as going against these Seattle Seahawks, you talked about Quinshon Judkins needing to get those dump-offs. That may be the only avenue for Bam Knight, as Seattle is tied for allowing the most receptions to running backs this season. Otherwise, they allow the 8th fewest fantasy points per game to running backs. And Bam Knight is running back 33 since he's been playing significantly, and he scored a touchdown in each of those 2 games he didn't start. Well, he hasn't scored the past 2 weeks, and that's tough when you're averaging only 55 scrimmage yards per game. So tough defense. Hasn't been great to begin with. So Bam Knight makes the hate list this week for me.
And of course, Jacoby Brissett always a threat to keep it and run it himself.
Of course, he's got the best slow juke moves I ever done seen.
It is. It really is like he's running in slow motion.
My man is a 1975 quarterback. He looked like Fran Tarkenton out there.
He's kind of like
he doesn't look like Fran.
Actually,
Tarkenton.
no. That is a disservice to Fran Tarkenton.
Fran Tarkenton
I meant to say
move.
just the slow motion version. Like he thinks he's Fran Tarkenton.
To me, he looks like if Jalen Hurts was 25 years older. Because Jalen Hurts isn't that he doesn't.
No, Jalen Hurts is not fast. No.
I got a good comp for you. Byron Leftwich.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
Like I'm glad he tries to do it because it keeps defenses on their toes.
For
like,
sure.
hey.
It's his job going forward. All right, let's jump to love-hate pass catches, starting with the love list, and a guy who makes his way back on here after a tough start to the season, but good to see Matthew McConkey as a top 13 wide receiver again.
Since week 5, he has been, wait for it, McConkulous. Team high 27% target share on the Chargers since week 5. No one on the team has more end zone targets over that stretch than Ladd McConkey. He's got 7. And then you think about this matchup with the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's unbelievable, right? Steelers have allowed the most receptions. They've allowed the most receiving yards. They've allowed the most fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers this season. Pick a stat, the Steelers are bad at it. And since week 4, Pittsburgh also allows the 5th most yards per game to the slot. So Ladd McConkey, who's playing wide receiver, he's become the number 1 for this high-flying Chargers offense that loves to pass and pass a lot. Herbert's playing as well as I've ever seen him in his career. He's just dialed in. I have McConkey at wide receiver 13. I think low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2, but love him in this matchup against the Steelers.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I did take his over on pregame last week, 5.5, and I was shocked. I was just shocked he couldn't get to that number because he done picked it up. He's number 1 now.
Yeah, I think the Chargers pass catcher situation behind McConkey is a weekly confusion between QJ, Keenan Allen, and Gadsden. What's the order of those guys going to be for effectiveness? But I think Ladd McConkey's kind of separated himself as the clear tier 1 of that group. Martin Cam. On YouTube, I got offered Marvin Harrison Jr. and Troy Franklin for Ladd. Full PPR. Thoughts?
I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do it either. Not with Jacoby Brissett. Not with that game we just saw.
Not with Kyler Murray just being placed on IR. It means he's done for the next 4 weeks at least. So that happened yesterday. So we see that Jacoby Brissett is like, he's no dummy. I don't want Marvin's dad tweeting at me.
He said it. He said it. He was like, when did you get that connection? When he got on the field, when he put his helmet on.
So we're saying do the trade then, because you got offered Marvin Harrison. So
I thought he was asking, should he do it? Should he trade it? Should he trade those 2 guys for McConkey is what I thought he said. But here's what I will say. We prefer, either way, it doesn't matter. We prefer the McConkey-Troy Franklin side. I'm sorry, we prefer the Marvin Harrison Jr. and Troy Franklin side to the McConkey side. Yeah. Because I don't know that there's that much difference between Harrison and McConkey. And then there's, the added benefit of Troy Franklin, who could, here we go. So
he
Martin
should do it.
I got offered Harrison and Franklin for Ladd. Yes,
the trade.
You guys were right. I was wrong. Martin, you should do the trade. I would accept it. I'd prefer those 2 guys to Ladd McConkey because there's some upside to Troy Franklin.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, there is technically some upside to Jameson Williams, and he had a much better game against the Vikings by his standards. He hasn't lived up to the lofty preseason expectations around his upside, but I do think that if you want to roll the Jameson Williams dice, this is the type of week to do it against your Commanders, your secondary, Matthew, which gives up 2nd most explosives in the league after the Titans. We saw that against the Seahawks, where everyone was getting deep, and so if there's ever going to be a
except Jackson Smith-Njigba. Everyone got deep for a touchdown except for Jackson Smith-Njigba.
He got deep, but he got deep for 26-yard
passes.
Not
28.5. Needed him to get to 29.
He
had multiple catches of 20 yards or more than 20 yards, but couldn't
not quite get there. But if there's ever going to be a Jameson Williams week, you couldn't script it better than this one against the Commanders. Jaylen Waddle continues, Matthew, to excel in the absence of Tyreek Hill. And he gets a matchup against Buffalo that's hurting a little bit on defense, and the Dolphins are expected to be in a throw script as 9.5 point dogs.
Exactly. They're 9.5 point dogs. Games at home. Jaylen Waddle very quietly since Tyreek Hill went down. There's 5 games ago. There's been 5 games since Tyreek Hill's injury, and Jaylen Waddle has at least 80 receiving yards in 4 of those 5 games. You see it right there on your screen. Only the game against the Browns, which is forgivable for him not producing against Cleveland. But the other games, he's just been terrific, and it's worth noting that these Bills have allowed at least 16.9 fantasy points to a wide receiver in 4 straight games. And so to your point, Jay, about them being almost double-digit underdogs, that they're going to have to throw. And so you're telling me a wide receiver is going to get at least 16 points against the Bills. What's the wide receiver on the Dolphins we feel pretty good about? Jaylen Waddle. He's going to be the one that gets it. He's my wide receiver 14. Feels like this is a good game script for him, who's been quietly productive on a team that hasn't been that productive, generally speaking.
Yep. Aloha Bricks start 2 full PPR, Ladd, Rome, Waddle, or Nico.
Yeah, a lot of good options there, but I think it's Nico Collins and Ladd McConkey.
Even with Davis Mills.
Even with Davis Mills, just because he's Nico Collins. Hang on. But what happens, we saw it with Jacoby Brissett and Marvin Harrison Jr., when you have a backup quarterback in, every once in a while you get to, the Tim Boyles of the world that can't complete a pass. But generally speaking, most
Shout out Tim Boyle.
Most backup quarterbacks are competent. They're obviously, they were good athletes at some point. They're good enough to be a quarterback in the NFL. They're not good enough necessarily to be the starter, but they're good enough to be a quarterback in the NFL. And so what that means is maybe they don't have the full range of looking all over the place, but they can certainly get a ball to your number one read. And so that would be my argument about Davis Mills here, is that I don't know how great you feel about Christian Kirk or Jalen Noel or anything like that, but I do think he'll be able to get the ball to Nico Collins, and I think actually similar to what Jacoby did with Marvin Harrison last week, he will force the ball to Nico Collins because he just knows that's the guy.
Yeah. And right? Davis Mills has had stretches of being able to have 260 passing yard games before, so he should be able to push the ball.
And they're home against the Jaguars. Jaguars are 26th against the pass over the last month.
Yep.
So yes, Nico Collins.
Are you saying Tim Boyle is good enough to be an NFL quarterback?
He's the Mendoza line. It's sort of right there.
Yeah, I don't
he
know.
is somehow kicked around. I don't
get
it
hope
either.
Tim Boyle doesn't watch the show, particularly live on YouTube.
I've heard he's a lovely guy. I'm sure he's a lovely guy.
Sure he is. With Jaylen Waddle, something that a lot of people tend to do is you remove one game from the sample and say, well, you just look at the other games. But to do that, there has to be a good reason to remove the game from the sample. And if you remove the Cleveland game, he's been like a top 5-ish wide receiver. And I think there is reason to remove it because it was in 40-mile-per-hour crazy winds. KJammer89, lol, Tim Boyle just raised the middle finger at Barry's head right now. Tim Boyle catching strays. Just wants to know whether to start
Get him,
Nico
Tim.
Collins or Jaylen Waddle. And just,
we know he wasn't using the middle finger to throw a football, so that's fine.
Oh, Barry with the comeback.
Maybe you should have
Let us know what you got coming back, Tim Boyle.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, you can't just let Barry do you like that.
All right, another whipping boy on this show, Kyle Pitts.
He's my Todd Zeal.
Tim Boyle. All right, Kyle Pitts gets a pretty favorable matchup, Lawrence, against the Colts.
Yeah, definitely. If you look at what Pittsburgh's tight ends did to the Colts last week, 10 catches, 95 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now, that was 3 tight ends, so it's kind of weird, but there's only 1 tight end they use on Atlanta now, finally, now that Arthur Smith ain't there. But they allowed the 4th most fantasy points per game to tight ends, the Indianapolis Colts, doing the 2nd most receiving yards. And Kyle Pitts, we talk about target share a lot in fantasy, but what about the percentage of receptions caught? He's caught 16% of Atlanta's passing attempts. That's 2nd on the team, right behind Drake London, who's at 17%. In his last 3 games, 6.5 receptions, 8.5 targets, averaging 53 yards in that span. So those are top 10 numbers, and Kyle Pitts is not giving you a top 10 tight end week every single week, but this is one of those weeks he could potentially do that.
Yep, Sauce Gardner, full participant in practice as well, so you suspect that he will play in Berlin, and he will get the Drake London assignment.
Just in time to get burnt by London.
Yep. Neck brace nation, just terrifying profile picture.
Well,
Omer has the neck braces off. What am I supposed to do?
No, I'll tell you what, Nation. Here's what you do. You carry the torch.
Man, that's funny as hell.
We have to always remember the neck brace. So you continue to carry the torch, Neck Brace Nation. You guys are the ones. I like that he went with the Cisco. Is that what we decided?
To be
fair. I thought we
decided
Nicki Minaj.
To be fair, Neck Brace Nation, I will still be wearing the neck brace, just not when you see me on this show. So find solace in that.
Yes, and also we can always find solace in the fact that you may need another neck surgery. At some point, you
No,
may need a new neck brace.
I will
always
not
cheer for
find
that.
solace in that. In fact, my doctor told me it's looking good, Lawrence. You're on the right path. So, I'll be back on the 49ers defense in no time.
We'll see.
Unbelievable. All right.
I don't know if it's because you were wearing the neck brace for so long, but your neck looks skinnier. Is there a chance that your neck, like
been working on that.
just because it wasn't getting oxygen or whatever?
No,
like
it's like
it looks
Like how
skinnier.
his like calf
Oh, wait,
muscle shrivels after a
If
broken
you could
leg.
see the nice little,
A little.
Yeah.
I like it.
yeah, we
I'm,
good.
I'm telling you, it looks skinnier.
Yeah.
Your neck has lost weight.
It's
looks
like
good.
it's like if you put a cast on your leg,
Yeah.
you take that off, then you ain't gonna have the berry ankles. They're gonna
No.
be toothpicks.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
gonna say it's not that often I stare at another man's neck. It's kind of
we
a
gotta-
different world.
Hey, look, ain't been able to hit the weight room. We gotta get,
That's all right.
gotta get back to shrugs.
It's
okay.
it's a slow road back.
Yes, it is.
Matthew, Sam LaPorta gets
yes.
that favorite matchup against your Commanders. He's quietly had a pretty good stretch. It's just been overshadowed a little bit by the fact. I feel like Sam LaPorta he hasn't lived up to the expectations since his awesome rookie year, but he's just old, reliable, a solid top 5 tight end.
Since week 5, he's been a top 3 fantasy tight end in points per game basis, 20% target share, 3 of the last 4. And so I'm with you. It just he's coming off the big game here. I'm going to need him. Sam LaPorta is my fantasy tight end against the chubby lather daddy. So I hope he lights up my Commanders. So our season's lost. So now I'm just rooting for fantasy points. I have to. It's worth noting that among all the other bad stats that I have about my Commanders defense, and I've got plenty. I have got plenty. One of them is that over the last 3 weeks, Washington has given up over 70 fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Over 70 points in 3 weeks. That's not good.
No, it's not great.
Jay,
No. AJ Barner cooking.
yes, Elijah Royo had the big touchdown instead of Jaxson, who, by the way, is open on that play.
Yeah, he was wide
it's
open.
so annoying.
Unbelievable. What are the Commanders doing in the secondary? You got multiple players wide open on the same play.
It's a disaster.
Unbelievable.
It's a
All right, let's get to
disaster.
some others receiving votes. There are still some people in New Orleans, even if Rashid Shaheed isn't one of them. But Chris Olave, I'm not sure how much higher his target rate can go up, but if it can, we'll find out against the Panthers, Matthew.
Well, I think it's important because, when Chris Olave gets at least 7 targets, and you certainly expect he will against Carolina, he's averaging over 15 fantasy points per game. Behind Chris Olave, here's the depth chart. Brandon Cooks, who's 32 years old. Devon Bele, who's got 5 receptions on the year. Mason Tipton, who has 0. So Wan'Dale Robinson's there. I know he's on Lawrence's team. Bears have allowed the most touchdowns to the slot this season and the 6th most yards per game. How about Romeo Doubs with at least a 28% target share in 3 of the last 4, averaging over 65 yards per game in that one? Obviously, no Tucker Kraft for this one. He's out for the year. Matthew Golden left the last game with a shoulder injury. Christian Watson's never been a big volume guy. So Romeo Doubs against Philadelphia that has struggled with their secondary. I think they're going to have to throw. Finally, Oronde Gadsden the second. He's been a top 12 fantasy tight end for 12 straight weeks. Pittsburgh very bad against the opposing tight end. And another guy, again, I'm trying to speak this into existence, but I do believe it. Harold Fannin Jr. I'm going to have to go 2 tight ends eventually. 12.
Oh, no.
I mean,
No,
this is how bad my team is. I've got to go 12 personnel against Jay. So I got a tight end, and then I got a one. I'm going to literally Harold Fannin's one of my flexes this week. But since week 5, he's been a top 10 fantasy tight end points per game. Jets have allowed at least 20 fantasy points to a tight end in 3 of the last 5. So Fannin going up against defense that wasn't good to begin with, just lost Sauce Gardner. Dylan Gabriel under center doesn't kind of a noodle arm.
It don't matter who they play. He's throwing it to him.
Yeah.
I'm sure your 2 tight end approach will go great against my Amon-Ra St. Brown, JSN, Brock Bowers, Quinshon Judkins, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, etc.
It's so bad, Jay. I might have to also start Mason Taylor. I might have to go 3 tight ends.
3 tight end.
Yeah, 3 tight ends.
It's barely allowed.
He athletic.
Yeah,
He is
I mean,
athletic.
it's just, I'm
All
putting
right,
it together.
another guy who's athletic, but
but
headlines the hate list.
Yes,
DK
sir.
Metcalf against
Yes.
the Chargers. DK Metcalf was completely unsighted against my Colts on the weekend. And that's why he's on the hate list.
He is on the late hate list. Look, DK Metcalf, for the season, like he's never been a big target earner, but he's averaging under 6 targets a game. That's 40th among wide receivers. And so, like, you see sort of like the inconsistency here, right? You know, big game in week 4 and week 6, week 1 and 3, like whatever. He doesn't have a single game this year with more than 5 receptions. Only one team this year has allowed fewer touchdowns to wide receivers than the Chargers. They're pretty good against wide receivers. And so the fact is that for a wide receiver to get every wide receiver that got at least 15 points against the Chargers, they got at least 6 receptions. DK Metcalf doesn't have a game this year with more than 5. I'm just saying, like, the Chargers defense has been so good. They've been so good in the secondary. You need volume to get there, and just it hasn't been there for DK Metcalf. They want to run the ball. They like dumping off. They're using all their tight ends, and so I have Metcalf outside my top 25 this week. He's wide receiver 27. Just he needs a touchdown to pay off.
He needs the touchdown or the big play, definitely.
Yep.
And they're not throwing it deep to him. It's weird.
Yep. Hate list for me. I hate to include Indianapolis Colts, but for journalistic balance, I have to sometimes. Michael Pittman against the Falcons. One, I think that this is going to be more of a Jonathan Taylor game. The Falcons are a run funnel defense. I think the Colts will leap at the opportunity to give JT a lot of work heading into the bye, as you spoke about. Secondly, Michael Pittman is currently dealing with an injury. Didn't practice yesterday, so if he doesn't play, I certainly don't like him this week. It's just another thing to keep in mind. So I just don't think this is going to be a huge Michael Pittman game. Even if he does suit up. Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., who has been retrospectively a hate list candidate, almost week in, week out, and he gets a very tough matchup against the Texans.
Yeah, I don't know. Is this like a obvious call? Well, if not, it certainly is versus the Texans. I had Courtland Sutton on my hate list last week against the Texans, and he gave us a touchdown, but it was 1 catch, 30 yards. Troy Franklin didn't do much better. Texas give up the 5th fewest fantasy points per game, 2 wide receivers, and they've allowed the 3rd lowest amount of receptions to that position. Then you look at this over-under in that game, 37.5. That is tied for the lowest with the Cleveland Browns and the Jets. How you in a game with the same over-under as the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets? Can't trust receivers in that game.
Yep.
Points totals too low.
Yep, indeed. All right, we're going to hit our first break. When we come back, Love, Hate Quarterbacks, headlined by the world's most famous eye paint model, Mr. Jaxson Dart.
Were there any deals where you might have been able to get across the finish line if you would have given up maybe more than you wanted to? My job is to not be reckless with this role. And it's easy to say, it's not fantasy football. It's not. And fantasy football is awesome for what all it brings to our game. But this is not there's so many things, ramifications of cost and draft picks. The GMs are coming in younger, and there's more have played true fantasy football and stuff like that, and they're growing up in a world of trades.
Wow, that was Bills GM Brandon Beat. I feel like subtweeting the Jags, to be honest. We're the youngest GM in town.
But
and you
I don't know if.
Does that mean I should be an NFL general manager? That's what I feel. That's what Brandon Beat is saying.
Do you feel responsible for the Jacoby Myers trade as a pioneer in the industry? Is this your fault?
It might be. I was clamoring for it.
I would say though, I don't know if that's entirely true. Yet when the trade deadline happened, more trades happened in the NFL than I've been able to make personally, and I play in double-digit leagues. It's hard.
Good point.
In 2025, it is hard to trade in fantasy football because nobody want to trade. Everybody feel like they getting beat or gypped, or everybody feel like they got to win the trade. I don't see trades happening often anymore in fantasy football.
No,
Matthew.
you see too many things like backup producer Pete has been shopping Nick Chubb for asking for like starting quarterbacks for Nick Chubb in our league, like literally for like 2 weeks, like for a month, like, hey, I noticed Patrick Mahomes on a bye. Can I give you Nick Chubb for him? Help you out of the spot this week? And you're like,
unbelievable.
Just stop it. It's outrageous.
Back up, Pete. The Daryl Morey of our league. It's very hard to strike a deal with.
By the way, cut to Daryl Morey. Like, let me just check out, like.
It's compliment. He drives a hard bargain, Daryl, apparently.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I know Daryl a little bit. Daryl's a good dude. I like Daryl.
Well, he's famous for being a hard man to trade with. He wins every trade.
There you go.
Compliment to Daryl, if you're watching, Mr. Morey. Pete is a New York Giants fan. They didn't trade any of their quarterbacks, much to his chagrin, but they keep Jaxson Dart, who is quarterback number 4 for you, Matthew, this week.
Yeah, they traded up to get him, though.
They did trade up to get him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's working out pretty well so
It has worked out pretty well, not only for real-life football, but for fantasy football. Brandon Bean, I know you're not a fan, but we're all a fan of Jaxson Dart here because since Jaxson Dart took over as the starter in Week 4, he's been the 4th best quarterback in fantasy football. He comes in at number 4 in my ranks, 4 straight games with a rushing touchdown. You're seeing a theme here. 70%, there's a different number, 70% of the team's red zone rush attempts since Week 7. By the way, the Bears giving up the 7th most fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. So Jaxson Dart is in for a big day against a suspect Bears defense.
Like that call, Matthew. I'll raise you one here. Stay in that same game.
Okay.
I'll go Caleb Williams.
Interesting.
46.5 over under. I actually like that to go over. New York is bottom 8 in allowing fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. They've allowed the 6th most rushing yards to quarterbacks, and we know Caleb Williams can run the football. He just ran 53 on the Bengals. Now, I know Caleb Williams was like, if it doesn't happen versus this Bengals defense, then it may be time to be out from a fantasy perspective, but it happened, and he went off. He went crazy. So now against the Giants team, who they're a little weaker on the back end, if their line could hold up versus the front 4 of the New York Giants, I expect another big day from Caleb Williams.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's jump to Sunday Night Football. Justin Herbert, Matthew, having one of the best stretches of his career, even if he's throwing more interceptions than he did last year. And he gets a pretty favorable matchup against the Steelers, notwithstanding that Steelers defense did look better last week.
Steelers defense definitely looked better, but like we've talked about it a little bit throughout this show, right? We talked about McConkey, we talked about Oronde, Gadsden, and now we're going to talk about the guy throwing those two the ball. That's Justin Herbert. Like, you love this matchup against the Steelers. Let's just start there. Quarterbacks that faced Pittsburgh this year averaging 299 passing yards a game. The last 3 they faced, which you see on your screen there. Flacco threw for 342, Jordan Love 360, Daniel Jones in a losing effort threw for 342 yards. They've actually given up the Steelers. The Steelers have given up at least 2 total touchdowns to every quarterback they faced this year, except Dylan Gabriel. He was the only guy that couldn't
He didn't do it?
Yeah, what are you going to do? But either way, like, again, we talk about this. We've talked about earlier in the week, we talked about Herbert's rushing. It's averaging 34 rushing yards per game. Lawrence, I know you've won some money on Justin Herbert rushing over the course of the year. So I think Herbert has a big game this week. He's my QB5. He makes the love list prominently.
Yep. Another boy who can run, Lawrence, is Drake Maye, who can use his legs, certainly. And he plays against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who perennially are a bit of a pass funnel defense, even if the pass defense has been sneaky good this year. But I think Drake Maye, he's been excellent this year. He would finish top 4, top 5 in MVP, and a vote held today, and his fantasy value has been excellent too. The one thing that has suppressed his value is that he's played in quite a number of blowouts, where he just hasn't had to do anything in the fourth quarter. Now, against the Bucs, the Patriots are 2.5-point dogs. The total is 48.5, and so we've kind of been waiting for this Patriots offense to explode a bit, for Stephon Diggs to have one of those games that he did against the Bills, and for them to just ignite and not just kind of grind out these wins against lesser opponents. So I think this might be the week where we get a Drake Maye kind of 300 passing yard, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown type of operation.
I could use it because he's one of my quarterbacks.
I like having his cheer against
Chucky
Drake.
Take it all back.
So we'll see. Here's
right.
hoping.
Let's game
But I
something
agree
up,
with
Todd
you.
Bowles. All right, let's jump to others receiving
I just want to
votes.
make it respectable. You're a 40-point favorite, for the love of God.
Is the spread that big?
Don't count it. Play to win,
I'm just
Matthew.
trying to. I'm playing to win.
No, you're not. You're playing to lose less than 40 points, apparently. I don't care for that.
I'm just saying the line is 40 points, but here I come with my 3 tight end strategy, screwing you up.
listen.
You're like it's going to get on your head. You don't know what to do with that.
He's not out of the race. 7 losses. Look, I did my part in making sure that Matthew does not make the playoffs. So the pressure's on you now, Jay.
It is true. Connor
That is some pressure.
Connor destroyed me. You beat me. You beat me pretty bad. So it's really up. You're the last.
You can't be the one on the desk. Yeah.
Matthew not
More pressure on you than me.
Matthew not mathematically eliminated yet. New York Jets not eliminated from the playoffs either this year. We'll see how both of those
We both had the
pursuits.
same amount of chance.
Yeah. I mentioned, Matthew, that Drake Maye would finish top 5 in an MVP vote held today. I think the guy who would win the award, if it were voted on today, would be Matthew Stafford, and he headlines others receiving votes in a matchup against the Niners.
Well, yeah, this Niners team, again, their defense has struggled, obviously. No Fred Warner or Nick Bosa either. Since week 5, they've really struggled against opposing quarterbacks. Since week 5, they're giving up over 21 fantasy points to quarterbacks. 4 of the last 5 quarterbacks to face San Francisco scored 19 fantasy points. Back in week 5, Stafford had 389 and 3 touchdowns against the Niners. How about Jared Goff against my Commanders? 7 of the 9 quarterbacks that have faced Washington this year have scored at least 18.7 fantasy points. They're giving up touchdowns at the second highest rate over the last 3 weeks. Start everyone you can against these Ron Rivera-led Washington Commanders. That's what the defense reminds me of the golden era of Ron Rivera. It's tough.
Not a great year for Dan Quinn. I understand he
Been a
doesn't
tough
have
year
the
for-
horses, but still,
No,
it's
it's been a tough year for Dan Quinn. I'm a Dan Quinn fan. I'm a Cliff Kingsbury fan, but it has been a tough year. The defense has not progressed the way we would have expected under a head coach that comes from the defensive side of the ball, for sure.
Yeah. Give him a bit of a pass after how good last year was, and then you find out next year.
They
what
need
you
like
got.
a real get after it dog in the front 7, particularly on the
And
defensive
some
line.
cornerbacks as well.
Yeah,
Some safeties.
like they thought they were.
They
getting,
should have kept your boy Jeremy Chin.
Yeah,
He
they
should have stayed
absolutely
with
should
them.
have.
He's doing nothing on the Raiders.
He's been great, and I wish they'd kept him. I think they legitimately thought Marshawn Lattimore was just hurt last year, and
as opposed to like you.
as opposed to me, who just said like I think he's done, and so far I've been proven correct.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you don't like Marshawn Lattimore. Let's talk about some other people we don't like this week. Hate list. Headline, Matthew, by the man you have christened the Traveler, and he gets a fearsome opponent in the Texans defense, which will know that it has to come to play without C.J. Stroud to help him out.
That's the point, though, right? The Texans allow 11.5 fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. That is the lowest in the National Football League. They're a top 5 pass defense in yards per game and yards per pass attempt. Trevor Lawrence, not going to have Travis Hunter, might not have Brian Thomas Jr. Jacoby Myers just got there. This game is in Houston as well. He's outside my top 20 for the week.
Okay, let's jump to Tua Tagovailoa, who plays the Bills. He played okay against the Bills the first time, until the pick at the end.
He played a good, real football game, and he still ended up as only quarterback 18 in fantasy. And on that graphic we just saw there, the Bills were second in terms of allowing the fewest fantasy points per game to quarterback. It's funny you bring that up too, Jay, because as bad a year as Tua has had, he's got 4 games this season where he has at least 115 passer rating. So it's either like he's pretty good or he's the worst quarterback in the league. And in this particular game, how the Bills defense looked versus Patrick Mahomes in Week 9, this could potentially be one of them games. So I still like Jaylen Waddle because it doesn't matter what Tua does. He's going to get Waddle what he needs to have. But Tua himself, from a fantasy perspective, is a guy you can only think about starting in a super flex spot.
Yep, I'm with you there. In a similar vein, Bryce Young, who last year the Panthers went 5-12, but I felt much better about Bryce Young then than I do now, even though he is 5-3 as a starter. The team 5-4 overall, but like 11 passing touchdowns in the season, 6 picks. Like he just feels like a non-entity on this offense. It's hard to remember a quarterback who felt less involved in his own offense. Like he's handing the ball off to Rico, Dowdle, and they're 6-point favorites against the Saints. So why is he going to ball out in this one?
Yeah, it's a weird one, Jay, especially because, like, again, to your point, they're going well, but it's like there's nothing that, like, he's fine. And I think the issue is that he was so bad his rookie year and Stroud was so great and there was so much comparison made between the two that I think now just the fact that he's, like, competent as opposed to, like, a disaster. But you're right. I mean, like, I don't know how many people are starting Bryce Young or were considering starting Bryce Young. And you are. And deep two quarterback leagues you are. But obviously, like,
funny. Your team is kind of structured like the Carolina Panthers. You have Jonathan Taylor on
your
team. He's
hand off the ball.
Hands off the ball. Bryce Young and Michael Penix.
Michael Penix, get the ball to Bijan, Drake London.
That's a good point.
I think the issue with Bryce is that he was actually really good last year down the stretch.
That was the argument.
And he didn't turn the ball over that second half of the year. The thing is, it's like, man, can we get like a 300-yard passing game to just show us?
Just be present
that,
in the game.
Because it's not like a Dylan Gabriel situation where he can't throw it. It just don't happen.
It's
All right,
weird.
we're going to hit our last break. When we come back, last call, our best bets for Raiders Broncos. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the app and use promo code FFHH when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook.
The count is yours. Oh, yes.
All right, last call. Let's take a look at most bet props. Thursday Night Football. Public loves their short price favorites on the prop market. Call it Sutton 40+ receiving yards minus 271. I'm going to take, in this game, the Raiders plus 9.5. The Broncos have only won 2 games this season by double digits. They have played the following teams to mere 1-score wins. The Titans, the Giants, the Jets, the Davis Mills-led Texans. So I think the Raiders, with Brock Bowers back, Gino looked a bit better last week. I think they can keep this close. I think they lose, but I think they lose a 1-score game, the Raiders. Lawrence, what do you got?
I'm going to stay on the Raiders side of it. I'm going to go to the defensive side of the ball and go Max Crosby. I'm going to go 1+ sacks at plus 122. He's had 3 sacks in his last 3 games. One of those games, he didn't have one versus Kansas City. They blew him out. Not a lot of opportunity for him to get after Mahomes. Interesting thing, though, Bo Nix is tied for being sacked the fewest in the NFL this year. They got a pretty good tackle duo there in Denver, but Bo Nix is averaging 35.8 passing attempts per game, and he's thrown a lot of passes in games where they don't score that many points. So we often say in fantasy football, when talent meets opportunity, well, the opportunity is Bo Nix dropping back. The talent is Max Crosby. I expect them to get to Bo Nix tonight.
All right.
Okay. What do you got, Matthew?
I like it. How about J.K. Dobbins to get into the end zone? Just an anytime touchdown for J.K. Dobbins since week 3. No team in the NFL has given up more rushing touchdowns than the Las Vegas Raiders. J.K. Dobbins actually on the season, has gotten 75% of the Broncos' goal-to-go rushing attempts. He hasn't scored in 4 straight. It's been sort of fluky. R.J. Harvey's, getting 8 touches but scoring 3 touchdowns. And so a little bit of I think J.K. Dobbins is due. I think they'll be able to run effectively against the Raiders. Again, they're 9.5-point favorites. And so, yeah, J.K. Dobbins gets in the end zone tonight. Give me an anytime touchdown for J.K. Dobbins. Dobby, as he's known.
Yes. Surging back to the top of the Dobby Power Rankings. Let's take a look at your top players tonight, Matthew. Not a appetizing slate of options, but a few guys you're still comfortable starting.
Yeah, obviously, listen, I have Nix as a top 12 play. I have Dobbins, who I just talked about. I think he's an RB2 this week. I think Cortland Sutton you're starting. Bowers is a no-brainer, but if you're looking for complimentary people, R.J. Harvey or Troy Franklin in your flex, you can see, again, the Raiders have really struggled defensively so far this year. Obviously, Ashton Genty is an RB2 here. You're hoping he falls in the end zone in a tough matchup.
Gerald the Pool Guy, plus money, Jackson Heavy Hitters Club check-in. Wow, I didn't know that was a club. My man LJ looking great without a brace. Might he be willing to stick his neck out on Bo Nix over 29.5 rushing yards tonight for 1.21?
This does sound like a bet right up your alley. You love the quarterback rushing totals, and you love plus money.
I thought about doing that for my bet today, but I was like, hey, go with it, my guy. And keep the club alive. It's real popular in Australia.
Yeah, it's big in Australia.
The Neck Brace Nation stamp of approval.
Yeah,
yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of you with that neck
Bo
brace.
knows. I know. I'm like a new person now.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
All right. Hey, that music means you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. For Lawrence and Jay, I'm Matthew. Go read my 10 Facts column. It's available on rotoworld.com right now. Good luck tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.